cried the sparrow.
You're listening to the Sailing into Oblivion podcast, where we sit down with everyday people who do extraordinary things. I'm your host, Jerome Rand.
Welcome to the show, everybody. It's early morning, pre-6 a.m. My nose is a little stuffed up. I don't know why. I think it was all the chemicals I was using to do a deep dive cleanup in the cabinetry behind the head yesterday. You know, you're sticking your head in there, you're spraying all this stuff everywhere, trying to get all this mold, mildew, gross pipes and plumbing. Woo! That was something fierce, but had to be done. I was lying in my bunk the other night and just got this little whiff of that putrid sort of holding tank, you know, boat head smell. And that just does not fly. So it was one of those things where it was long overdue. So I just bowled right through it. Got the coffee ready to go. So it looks like, I'm not 100% sure, but it looks like we're going to take off to Rockland, Maine today. I'm not 100% sure. We might. There's a sliver of a chance for one more presentation this evening, and if that goes through, then departure will be pushed back until tomorrow. Both days look pretty good. Our forecast is generally looking awesome for a nice downwinder all the way up there, with wind, might I add, the whole time, which would be great. And yeah, we're just going to kind of see how that pans out. We had a lot of fun yesterday. Holy cow. We're cleaning cannons. We took harbor cruises on the Donkey, this really beautiful old wooden launch boat built for Admiral Byrd. Crazy. Love that. But before we get into all regaling everybody of these stories and talking about our time up here, which has been just so special. I can't thank all the people up here in the Harwich area who I got to meet and hear their stories, and have just been the most gracious hosts. My heart is filled with joy, and big shout out to the hostess with the mostest, Lucy. Absolutely amazing. It's been a pleasure. This place wouldn't be anything without a person like you in it, so much appreciated. Well, today we're going to crank right into part two. It's going to be a three-parter. I guess I recorded that much. This is going to take us pretty much from the doldrums through some engine issues into close quarters and the impending little blow that we ended up going through right there at the tail end of this trip. So hopefully you enjoy these offshore recordings and they're not too boring for you, but you know, it's like self-therapy out there. One of the things we talk a lot about is how solo sailing is such a mental game, and it's such a, you have to be kind of a student of your own brain, because you really don't have a whole lot to help you out there. And if you start slipping, it's a slippery slope. It's a slippery deck, if you will, pun intended. And so we really have to pay attention. And, you know, I think a lot of the tricks and tips that I have come up with out there also equate to life here on land. Different environment, same scenario. So I don't know, kind of interesting trying to keep a positive attitude, look at things from different points of view, and really just try and maintain that headspace that you're really looking to maintain. So not always the easiest thing, but, you know, things come around and you never know what sort of solutions you're going to come up with as long as you're willing to not give up. So take that for what you will. If you enjoy this show, if you enjoy the adventures and want to make sure they continue, as well as this podcast, consider checking the links in the description. We've got everything from Patreon to one-time donations, PayPal, Venmo, all that stuff. We've got the Amazon wish lists. We've got all those things, the merch, the books, all that stuff. And if you want to reach out to the show directly or check it out for possible speaking engagements, let me tell you, it has been phenomenal. I know the idea of a sailing presentation doesn't quite sound that phenomenal, but I can assure you that everyone that walks out of these presentations are pretty blown away, and I do my best to not only tell a story, but make it a very fun hour-long epic, if you will, and try my best to do a really good production to make sure that the time is very well spent. And I like the old shock and awe. I want people to come in. I'd like people to come in expecting something like this, but I know it's almost impossible to do that when your subject is, a sailing adventure. But I'm going to work on the marketing and see if we can improve on that point. But yeah, if you have an event, we're definitely going to be back on the East Coast next summer for sure. We got a bunch of repeats already, pretty much booked here, and yeah, we're just going to keep on plugging away. So up to Maine we go. You can reach out to the show, though, sailingintoOblivion.com, and you can connect right up with me and learn information about everything from speaking to coaching and consulting. So that's about it. We're going to get into part 2 of the Offshore recordings, North Carolina to Cape Cod. Thanks for listening.
You can't always get what you want. Remember that old Rolling Stone song? It applies aptly to this voyage aboard the slow boat Mighty Sparrow. Oh, she is trying, and I gotta take my hat off. Gotta take my hat off to the old engine. She's been running like a champ through all the heat and the hours. I mean, we're closing in on like 20 hours of runtime or something, which is just absolutely miserable on a West Sail 32. I'm not going to lie. These boats are not made for motoring. They are made to sail. But, I don't want to sit and just wax on and complain. It's been a good voyage in a lot of ways. Nice. We had a couple good sailing sessions so far. And I think we're on the cusp of a nice little broad reach with the big drifter, full mainsail, hopefully shooting up to the east and then northeast to get on the outer edge and maybe who knows the northern outer edge of this little blow that's coming in. I don't know. It's either way, it's going to be short-lived. I don't want to end up, oh, geez, Coast Guard just blowing it up. We had jet skis colliding. Oh, that's crazy. But yeah, I don't know. Right now, we motored until, I don't know, a couple hours ago. And then I just had to shut the engine off just for peace and quiet, peace of mind. And yeah, essentially got just the slightest little breeze kicked up, and I was like, well, let me give it a shot. So threw the sails up, and lo and behold, we were able to move at about 2 knots. Then we kicked up to like 3, and now we're doing 3.2. The problem is we are headed in the wrong direction. It's kind of a bummer. We're headed to the northwest. We need to be headed to the northeast. If I had enough time to go to New York, I would. That was sort of the hope, but it's taken so long just to get up here, and with the winds howling out of the east-northeast, it's going to be impossible for me to get to Cape Cod in time. So, Justin, we were going to have to meet up at a later date, my friend. But you always have a spot on Old Mighty Sparrow, I'll tell you that much. Yeah, we'll Well, I just want to make it a little further north. The winds are supposed to come around more out of the south, which they already evidently are, because I'm on a pretty good, close to a broad reach. The winds are still super light, so I can't hold much past a beam reach across the wind, aka. So ideally, do this for another hour or two. If the winds increase, the minute the winds increase, I'm going to jibe over. I'd rather head east and then cut north rather than head northwest in the wrong direction and then battle against because chances are I'm just going to have to go right into the teeth of that thing, and I'd much rather attack it from a better angle than dead downwind. Oh, man. I'll tell you, these little flavor enhancers, they're quite nice to have on a boat. Not that, I'll tell you, the drinking water was tasting great. I'm, like normal, I fill my water tanks, and I actually drink the water out of my tanks, but I run them through a series of filters, and the last one being just a standard household Brita filter, and that seems to do the trick, and it tastes fine. And but sometimes it's nice to have a little something else. Ran out of the brewskis already, so that's kind of a bummer. I never bring enough of those things. I always kind of think to myself, this will be plenty, and then when it comes down to it, you have a nice long day out on the water, light winds, really enjoyable. You might have more than you think. So I don't know. Either way, it's a common theme that Mighty Sparrow goes out a wet boat and she comes back a dry boat. But yeah, these little flavor enhancers are pretty darn good. Although I mix them up real weak, so it's just it's like a non-alcoholic White Claw. Oh, but yeah, that's pretty. The heat endures. Holy cow! Just trying to mitigate the sunburn. I'm dousing myself with water constantly. And I've still got my little bandana. I've been wrapping ice inside of it and posting it. Sometimes the ice holds on for like an hour. It's crazy. Yeah, anything to kind of keep cool. And I do wish my little bimini is so small. I did think about the other day putting up the big sunshade, the one that I usually use when I'm tied to a dock or hauled out in the yard. And because that extends like 2 feet over either side of the boat and goes from the gallows all the way to the mast. And it is, not only does it block you and allow you to kind of hang about and laze not only in the cockpit but amidships, but it also keeps the sun off the deck. So it kind of cools things down a bit down below. And yeah. Kind of regret. I guess I didn't realize we were going to be becalmed for quite that long. Basically the entire day and entire half a day today. But yeah, I don't know. This has not been an exciting trip. I'm reading a nice little John Grisham novel. Kind of plotting and planning how things are going to go for August, September, October, even into November, as far as different trips with different boats, and also where I'm going to take this boat and all that sort of stuff. It's kind of it's like a normal responsibility that I've had for a long time of like, okay, we got to move the boat, get it up north somewhere in the summer, get it down south in the winter. And then we had that pause for a couple of years where we kind of split the difference and hauled out in Belhaven at TJ's, and that place was good for sure, but the boat suffered. Like the sun and the UV, all the varnish peeling up. It's definitely took its toll. It was pretty brutal. So I'm kind of more along the lines of, haul her out in Maine, and ideally Pop be like the last one to go back in the water. like early November, but we've got other trips that are possibly kind of waiting in the wings just about that same time. So I don't know. We're going to have to figure it out because I would like to take the boat back down. I'd like to take it down to Florida, but there's two things. One, it's expensive, and two, it's expensive. Now, two, I mean, it really is. It's just, it's nice because obviously the weather's good. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know of any other spots where I could post up on a dock and kind of enjoy the nice Florida atmosphere as well. So I'm hoping to make that work. Like I said, I've got my slip down there for in Fort Pierce. So if it all works out, I'm gonna take the boat down there early November and then have that be sort of the southern base. And then work my way around, in between there and Michigan, I guess. That's kind of was the plan this last year, and I'm definitely hoping that can be the plan possibly for this year, because it's nice to have kind of that Midwest and down south, so you can cover all your bases, and you can use a lot of the travel for business, for also travel to kind of break things up. We've had such a blistering summer. And the heat, even though it was a slow start up in Michigan, it's still like brutal. It's been a hot one, and I'm ready for the fall. Like, I'm ready for fall colors, leaves blowing around on the ground, sweaters, jeans. That sounds absolutely amazing to me. And you don't really get that if you're down in Florida. I'm hoping to be able to do that up in the great state of northern Michigan, if I can. So we'll have to sort of see. But yeah, it's I don't know. Fall is just so picturesque, and it's crisp, but it's not brutal cold. I don't know. There's something about it I've always really liked it. Maybe it was because all the years I spent down in the islands where it's just summer all year round, and when you do leave, you're basically going back for the end of summer, and then you go right back down and open back up. But yeah, so we got that kind of look forward to, and obviously the event's just coming up in a couple weeks. Can't wait to get up there to Maine. It's going to be great meeting all these people in Cape Cod, doing a couple of talks there, and I get to see Lucy, which is going to be awesome. Can't wait to pull into that little teeny tiny harbor. It's like the smallest harbor you ever saw, and I got to make sure I can get her on the horn and make sure we got plenty of water. I mean, it looks like it on the chart, but it's not showing me a huge amount, and you never know about these little harbors like that. But I'm assuming that we're going to have our 6 feet in there. But hopefully the tide isn't so outrageous that we end up with the clunk in the old keel again. But looking at the routes to get from Cape Cod, the southern half of Cape Cod, up to Rockland, Maine, kind of interesting. This harbor is really far on the eastern end. It's almost near like Chatham and stuff. And you've got the big channel going out the east side of Nantucket Sound. And it goes into the Great South Channel, which definitely has a lot of shipping. It's got a lot of fishing and stuff. But once you get north of Georges Bank, usually the fishing kind of peters out. And the next big obstacle past the Gulf of Maine is just the lobster pots, once you start getting within 5-10 miles of Matinicus. So I don't know. I haven't crossed the Gulf of Maine in a while now, since 2022. And I always enjoyed it when there was wind. A lot of times it is just motoring, especially in the summertime. But who knows? We might get kind of lucky. But I'm looking forward to that, doing the Great South Channel. And the nice part is you kind of peel right by. I mean, it's a hotbed for humpbacks, all sorts of whales, dolphins, basking sharks. There's just all kind of stuff in that ocean. It's so green. And I'm looking forward to seeing all that, and then obviously getting up there to Maine and seeing the old crew. It's been far too long. Yeah, it's been 3 years since I've been up there. Jeez Louise. How time flies. But anywho, well, we're doing 3:30 now. Is that right? 3:30? Oh, no, 2:99. Oh, jeez. All right. As we get closer and closer to going pretty much due west, that's my call to start poking around and see if we can pop a jibe in and start heading to the east, where kind of we have to go. We have to go east and we have to go north. So either one of those options works for me. All right, until next time. Good morning. Where are we? We're about 200 miles, almost southwest of Cape Cod. Haven't made it very far over the last 2 days, and pretty brutal, not gonna lie. The heat, the engine, the noise, the slatting. The only savior so far has been the lovely evening nighttime stars. But we had an incident last night. Oh, and the coffee. Obviously, the coffee is always a highlight. Yeah, we got becalmed after a pleasant few hours of actual sailing at 5 knots, and then full drifter, full main, all that sort of stuff. Nice broad reach. It was lovely. I thought, okay, if we can maintain this, we're going to be there in no time. And lo and behold, go down, take a nap, take a snooze, and wake up to the sail slatting, and we're basically not moving. So, a bit of a bummer. But I was like, all right, well, you're not going to get where you need to go if you lay in bed. You got to get up and get to work. So, take the sails down, fire up the engine, and within 20 minutes or maybe an hour, all of a sudden the engine starts revving. And I know that sound, and I've dealt with that sound. And I thought we had that nicked, and it was a thing of the past, but it's back. And man, I was not happy to have that sound come on, because essentially it means fuel filters are a little jammed up, or the pipes or something. Basically, the engine's getting starved of fuel. And if you turn the engine off quick, or you run down there and hit the lift pump with your finger a bunch of times, you can force the fuel into it. But yeah, definitely a bummer, because I still got a decent amount of motoring that's going to have to happen. And essentially, I had 2 fuel filters on here, one that had been here for a while, and your old pal J-Rome didn't inspect them when we went to get supplies for this trip. They only had one fuel filter and 1 oil filter. So, but I thought, hey, the engine's been running like a champ this whole year. I got enough to do an oil change if I need. Now I got enough to change a fuel filter, but I just changed those fuel filters the last time I was down here. So, and not run the engine. So, that being said, we are now essentially we should be able to sail for the rest of the day, and then it's going to die again. And I can keep motoring and keep doing that trick. It's like every 5-10 minutes I got to run down and just da-da-da-da-da-da. But that necessitates me obviously being awake and having complete access to the engine. So the engine is extra loud. The decibels ringing away. And then we've got a bit of a system coming down from the north. It's going to be blowing pretty hard out of the northeast. So right now I'm trying to make my way east so that I can attack that system, which is going to be blowing in the high 20s. I can attack it from a better angle than straight down wind. And that'll last for 24 hours at least. So at least that'll be wind. Obviously, not even going to have to think about the motor at that point, which is good. But after that, it's going to get calm again. And I have to get into Nantucket Sound, around all these shoals and all that sort of stuff. So my hope is that there'll be enough wind left over for me to sail into Nantucket Shoal and sail essentially right to this harbor. The reality is that we're probably going to get becalmed with at least another 10, 12, who knows how many hours of motoring to actually get in. So it's going to be a challenge. It's a challenge to not be able to sleep, and it's a challenge to have to listen to the roar of this ancient engine. So... yeah, that's where we're at. And this trip, we've had to motor so much. I started out, I think we're getting close to like 30 some hours of motoring at this point, which is a lot for old Mighty Sparrow. That's more than I ever want to have to motor on any trip. I'd much rather just drift and float, but unfortunately, I'm under a time crunch, and so that is not really an option. And I don't know. Thinking about having to deal with this stuff that I thought was in the past. Really, I've always dreamt about repowering this boat and throwing a beta in her, a brand new one, nice little 38 horsepower, nice folding prop, the whole shebang. And that's going to be to the tune of probably like $15,000-$16,000, which is a bit out of reach at this point, and has been out of reach for a long time. To be able to just drop that much coin. So I don't know. It's got me thinking how in the heck I can do this, when I can do this. But I do know wholeheartedly that the last thing I want to do is plop this boat back in the water after it's been hauled, knowing that the engine is faltering. Now, granted, when I get up to Cape Cod, I am obviously I got enough time up there in between the talks and stuff to do a full once-over on the engine. I'm going to replace the primary and the secondary fuel filter. I'm going to change the oil, probably go through the heat exchanger, inspect the impeller, just do a full once-over on everything. And then, when we cross the Gulf of Maine, I'm sure we're going to be motoring there as well. We'll get to sort of test things out and see where we're at, because it might just be that. It might be one of those where I should have changed both the fuel filters. Could be something where just one of the hoses is getting all gunked up and it's decreasing the flow. There's a million different little things. And I want to start with the little things, but here's the rub. The rub is when I have to motor this boat, it is absolutely awful to have to listen to this engine. And we're not going very fast. I mean, it's a west sail, so I'm not expecting to do 6 knots under the power of the engine ever, but I'd like to be able to do 4.5 knots without having to push the engine so that it's so loud. So again, it makes me really, really curious to what it would be like and what the possibilities are for repowering this boat and breathing a little bit of new life into this vessel. And more than that, just the confidence again. Now, I was definitely feeling the confidence for the last 6 months after the debacle of the overheating and all that sort of stuff. But it is it's one of those where the confidence immediately is shredded at this point by this happening again. And I just don't want to have to go back to those days where I was always so nervous. I mean, there were so many times where I'd come in and I'm like nursing this engine to get us up the river or through St. Helena Sound to get to Buford, just arriving just so stressed out and riddled. And that is the worst feeling to have when you're trying to do these things that you're trying to enjoy. I mean, it's hard enough just to deal with the adversity that the sea throws at you as a solo sailor. Couple that on with the crummy old engine that has a lot of picadillos, and then you're really kind of piling it on to a point that's just, I mean, it's not unbearable, but it really is unpleasant. And that is how I am feeling right now, this moment. Thankfully, again, we are sailing right now, and it's a nice day. It's not super crazy hot yet. It's only 84 degrees down below. Oh, this coffee's delicious. I just made a big old breakfast, and that was delicious. I do have something that's like spiking my... It seems to be spiking my amperage. My amps are jumping, and I don't know what that's all about. Let's see. It's only the electronics that are on, and the refrigerator. It must be something with the fridge. Well, who knows? Maybe there's another little thing. Let's turn the fridge off for a second. Let's see what that does. It's just these fans. They're not much. Oh, there we go. Yeah, it was just the fridge. And the fridge has some ice, and the fridge has the frozen stuff. I'll crank that back on once the sun gets a little higher. It's not still jostling? Okay, no. All right. Whew. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure every sailor gets to that point, though, where, you've had your boat for a while, you've been living aboard, you move the boat, you sail it quite a bit. I mean, we usually get 5,000 to 10,000 miles or so a year out of this old girl, and it's typically pretty great, especially when we're not on a schedule. But there are definitely times where I'm like, holy cow. Is the struggle worth the lovely attributes that you get when you get to go solo ocean sailing on this boat, which you have so much confidence in the actual boat itself? Mongo's been doing great, thankfully, even in the light wind conditions, which is not always the easiest thing, for sure. What else is going good? You got to focus on the good things. Just cooked a mean breakfast, and I still have tons of food on board. Delicious treats. Ham and cheese, crackers, wraps. Still, I think I have one more orange, which is nice. Plenty of good dinners to cook. Still haven't even done taco night. Maybe that's what we're going to be doing tonight. Taco night's always a fan favorite. Yeah, we should have hopefully clear skies again tonight. It's not until, let's see what our forecast has in store for us. And I mean, really, I still have like 5 more days, including today, to be able to get up there. And it's literally, it's a 2-day sail, if that, to get there, if you could actually move in a straight line directly towards our destination. Yeah, it's 223 nautical miles to the actual harbor, to the dock. It seems like it's been 200 something miles forever, and that's because we have not been able to go directly towards our destination whenever we're sailing, and then when we're motoring, even if we motor for 10 hours, we only go like 40 miles. Geez. Well, we're doing 3 knots now, which is great. We're headed almost due east, a little bit north of east, which is good. That's going to put us in a better position. And let's see. Yeah. Yeah, it's a bit of a bummer. But yeah, our forecast right now looks pretty good. Winds are out of the south-southwest, going a little bit more south. And we should have wind if we can stay ahead of this little calm that's going to come in. We should have wind for the next 12 hours or so. Well, we almost should have wind for like 20 hours if, again, we can stay ahead of it and away from this calm that's kind of going to stretch out. So who knows? Maybe we can, if the winds will fill in a little and we could get to our proper, 5 knots, then we could definitely stay ahead of it. But boy, we just need that wind to fill in a bit more. Yeah, and then tomorrow, Friday the 1st, that's where the nor'easter, the very light nor'easter, I should say, starts making its way down and will be on top of us by Friday night. Always comes in the night. And then hopefully we will be getting to the northern edge of it by Saturday evening. Things will start to calm down again. And hopefully we'll be within 100 miles of our destination. That'd be nice. But yeah, then it appears that it's going to be another calm. But then, I don't know, it does kind of seem like it might be filling in from the south again, so we'll see. Jeez Louise. My kingdom for a steady 12-knot breeze out of the southeast. That would be the best. Or the west. Or the northwest. Well, any other direction than the direction it is currently in, I suppose. Gotta love that. Gotta love that. Sorry if my frustrations are a bit of a downer today, but I got to be able to vent this stuff out somewhere, and there's no better place than a microphone when you're alone on a boat. Maybe I should just turn the actual recording device off, though, and then I can really piss and moan about this. I'm in good health. I am feeling all right. I've actually gotten a decent amount of sleep. I had some tremendous sleep last night. Hours and hours of it. The destination is going to be awesome when I finally do get there. Chances are I'm going to be able to overcome these engine issues, and those will be in the past. We'll do a couple awesome talks, and then we're going to go up to Maine and see the old crew. What could be better, right? Let's focus on the positives. We'll make it through the negatives. This is going to be interesting to see what it's like bashing into this stiffer breeze, because it's been such a quiet, calm trip. It's always interesting when you go from that to getting, nailed. Not even nailed, but just, hit by an actual strong wind and all the forces. I mean, it goes from like calm and a little bit rolly to then all of a sudden you're like, boom, up and over, close reaching. And The noise is intense and all that sort of stuff. But it is one of those things, you do get used to it. It doesn't take very long before you do. And luckily, we are going to be on a starboard tack for that one, which is awesome, which is the preferred tack for sleeping in heavier weather outboard this boat. Gives me my double berth without having to have the lee board in and all that sort of stuff, and my reading light. A lot of times in those conditions, especially if you haven't had them for a while, it can be a little harder to sleep. But the best sleep aid in the world is nice. And I'm not throwing shade on John Grisham, but that's just the book I'm reading. So although I may finish it today, it's been so good. It's a bunch of short stories, and all from Ford County, someplace down in Mississippi. Really, really good writer, that guy. The one I'm reading now is just a total mystery. I got to find out what's going on with this guy. So I think I'm going to dive into that for a little while this wind builds. You know, it was Sir Robin Knox Johnson that said it. You know, if you're having super frustrating, hard time on a boat, alone out at sea, the worst thing you can do is just sit there and focus on it. Just go down below, crack open a book and read, and let the winds change. Richard Hoken said that one. The winds will always change. He said that before I left. Smart guys, both of them. All right, till next time. Oh boy, here we are, moving. Feels really good. Oh, we've got 12, 13 knots of wind. We're kind of on a shallow, broad reach, drifter main, doing 6 to 6.5 knots. And we're headed pretty much in the exact right direction. So almost the opposite of what was going on for the vast majority of this trip. So I'm pretty excited about that. And little update, I went through some of my storage areas and was able to find one more fuel filter. So I popped that sucker on. I replaced the secondary fuel filter, and because we're sailing and I don't want to interrupt it, and I don't even want to turn that engine on unless I absolutely have to, I just pulled the old one out, looked at it, and definitely, the inside cloth, the actual filter of these things is white when it's brand new. This one was looking decidedly nasty. So I didn't see any like coffee grounds or anything like that, but it was definitely pretty dark in color. So fingers crossed, now that both fuel filters are changed, we're going to get a good flow of fuel and stop starving the desperately ancient 4108. Of what she needs to just keep on blasting away. But it is going to necessitate bleeding the system. That's not too much of a big deal. But like I said, I just want to wait until we're going to get becalmed here, I think, within the next 10 hours. So sometime tonight. And, if I can just keep on pushing her for another, golly, if we could get another 8 hours of this, I mean, we're talking 42 miles, 45 miles. That would be absolutely fantastic to get that little chunk. And then if the engine works, when we do get becalmed, be able to plug away for what looks like 24 hours. These calms, man, they're brutal. July in the Atlantic is no joke. It's motor or it just seems like we would have had some more favorable conditions along this route. I mean, that's what the forecasts looked like in the beginning, but you know me and forecasts. I don't trust them one bit, rightly so. But that's my update, and I'm sticking to it. We're just down here kind of trying to stay out of the sun until it gets a little bit later in the evening. Have some coffee, and then I think it'll be taco night. unless I come up with something else I want to make, but sounds kind of good to me. And yeah, we'll just keep on plugging away. Finish that book. It's fantastic. A bunch of short stories. And now I'm kind of peeling through the library to see what else I may want to punch off while I'm out here and still have a good day or two. So we will see. But yeah, fingers crossed that sorts the engine out. It's probably one of those things where it's time to polish fuel in the tanks too. So all this stuff will be added to the list when I get up to Maine. You haul out up there. I've had my fuel polished one time, tanks cleaned and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, that was years ago, so it's probably time. You fill them up, and then the guy comes, puts his little doohickeys in there, and runs this. It's like a little snake or whatever. It was supposed to clean out the tank, and it keeps filtering. I mean, last time he had a softball-sized pile of dead algae and coffee grounds looking stuff. So, definitely something to be taken into consideration. It wasn't all that expensive either. I think I want to say it was $200, but I'm not 100% sure. Either way, that's the update from, what is this now? We left on the 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th, 30th, 31st. Day 6 out at sea. Check. Early morning. Venus has risen to the east. It's ooky spooky out there. Lots of big cloud systems. A little bit of lightning. Mostly, though, really odd wind patterns and swell patterns as well. We're in the center of, I don't think it's a low pressure system. Let me see if the pressure's dropped at all. Here. Oh yeah, it's only gone down one little millibar. Yeah, the old barometer, I tell you, it is a very useful tool when you start getting into systems and knowing that a weather system is coming, kind of giving you a gauge of where it is, how fast it's approaching, and just about how intense it might be. So what do? You make a brew. A little instant Nescafé tonight. It's probably my 4th cup of coffee today, so yeah, I'm a little wired, but I did get a decent amount of sleep. Dreams and all sorts of stuff. It was crazy. Maybe like close to 6 hours total. Not bad at all. Thank my lucky stars just for that. And fingers crossed, knock on wood, we have not had to turn that engine on since I bled it and tested it. Oh, golly, sorry about that, yawn. Man, that came out of nowhere. But yeah, it's one of those inky sort of nights where thankfully it's patchy, so there's some semblance of awareness to where these big cloud formations are. There's one we're just skirting it. We just jibed the boat, actually. Yeah, I don't even know. You get so discombobulated sometimes out here, and especially when the winds are flip-flopping because you're in between. I'm basically in between southerly winds kind of system that's dying off, and then this new northeast wind front that's kind of coming down. And it's already up there. It's already hitting Cape Cod and all those areas, and it's slowly making its way down towards us. But according to the old forecast, I've got another like 12, 14 hours before we start seeing winds increasing and start getting down to the nitty gritty. And I think still at some point we should be getting becalmed here. Let me open up the old magic box. see what we get. Because right now, I mean, geez, like I said, we're still doing 4.5 knots, and we're going 0.45 degrees true, which is basically due northeast, which I like. Yeah, we're still really close in there. Yeah, according to this forecast, we shouldn't be seeing that. Well, okay, so that's our shift. And the dead flat calm is trying to chase us, but it might not catch us. Might not catch us at all. And yeah, by about... winds should start increasing by about noon tomorrow. And switch again, winds out of the northeast. And then it's the battle is on by evening time. But I don't know. You know, honestly, it'd be kind of nice to break up the monotony, folks. This has been a mental endurance race getting up here. And I know it may not make too much sense that a calm passage is not a good passage, but man, it does get when you're trying to eke the boat forward and trying your best just to keep the sails filled, and like your worst enemy is like a 2-foot swell that starts to kick up out of some ancient system that was out here, because that then adds the slatting, and then there's the motoring in between. I mean, it really is it takes a lot of like, I am gonna make it through this discomfort and sort of anguish is not going to last. Just got to remember that, and we just got to keep moving forward. Sleep when you can sleep, read when you can read, and yeah, I mean, it's one of those where I just feel like it's been like that for the last 6 days, and with just these intermittent little glorious sails that we get, which do make it worth it for sure. But yeah, oof. So that being said, we're cruising. Let's go through our little checklist for going from, single digit winds to high 20s, gusting into the 30s. We've got, just in case, we've got our storm jib up forward in the forepeak. That's ready to go. I'm going to go through the forepeak and make sure everything is kind of buckled in and nice and secure up there, so nothing's getting tossed around, even though I know it will. We're expecting, like I said, to be on a port, so starboard tack. So at least the library, that can stay right where it is, which is cool. And then up on deck, pretty darn thorough. It'll be light here in about an hour, and pretty thorough check up there. We've got to pop that mainsail down and throw the third reef line in at some point. I ended up pulling that out because I just could not listen to it flopping around. Plus that added weight, man. It you can tell it's not great to have in your sail that weight up there, and it has a tendency to start creating a hinge point where your sail kind of gets like a fold or a wrinkle, I guess you could say. Oh, that coffee is so good. Yeah. Other than that, I do have to, when we do slow down a bit more, I got to hedge my bets and put the old pipe wrench on the prop shaft, because I don't want to hear that whirling around all the time. But we'll see. I give us about a 50-50 chance of getting becalmed and having to take sail down. So I don't know. We'll sort of see. We'll come to that one. I think what we'll probably end up doing is, as this wind shifts from kind of northwest over to northeast, and we got to go for our tack, that's when we're going to do everything. We'll drop the main. We'll drop the drifter. well, maybe not drop the drifter if we don't have to, because I think we'll be able to carry that when we start heading to the northwest. A lot of northwests and northeasts. I know. I'm throwing them out. They must be freaking confusing. They're confusing me. But yeah, it's if there's one thing to be said, it's at least a little bit exciting that we're gonna get some action out here. Just because it has been such a I don't want to say it's a boring trip, but it's been a boring trip. It's like just light, so it'll be kind of nice to get a little of this going. And even though we won't be able to head directly for it, we'll be closing our gap ever so slightly, and yeah, hopefully getting to a point where we can pull in. I think we're going to be a day later than we thought, possibly, depending on what the wind does and what the engine does, possibly 2 days late, which is okay. It's not until I'm 3 days late that I get worried, because that third day I have to give a talk that night. And wouldn't that be interesting, to come off of like a 10-day trip on the sea, take a shower, go do a sound check, and then try and do a presentation. I don't think that would be a good idea. I mean, I would do it, obviously, but it wouldn't be a great idea for the mental aspects of it. I don't know how good I would be able to tell the tale of going around the world when I'm still trying not to, tip over from land sickness. But yeah, any other checklist things? I don't think so. Not too much. Probably make a little sando or something. Probably gonna have a big old breakfast this morning. Might just do hash browns, because I got a lot of potatoes that I did not get through. Do hash browns and eggs. The last pound of bacon is frozen in the freezer. And I kind of don't want to open that one up. I didn't do tacos. I ended up doing sort of poor man's, what was it? Is it lo mein? Basically like ramen noodles, where then you fry them, fried noodles with some egg and all that sort of stuff. Very tasty, but not super filling. So I might have to make a little snack once I finish up this podcast. Hopefully these haven't been too boring to listen to. I can't even imagine. I'm just trying to describe what it's like and do my best, both mentally and physically, what's going on out there. And I will say, I mean, besides the heat, which makes me a little less amped to just like laze around the deck and go find more comfortable viewing platforms. I kind of like to stay out of the sun as much as I can, so I'm kind of relegated to the cockpit underneath that bimini. But it has been strikingly beautiful. Nice flat ocean. Beautiful. Only seen dolphins a couple of times, which is I haven't seen any whales yet, but I know that's coming. And yeah, I mean, it's real pretty out here. I'll give it that. Even now in this sort of dark shroudedness, there's a few stars poking through, and thank heavens for that. But I mean, it feels like we are just hooning right along. I want to open up the fancy one. Let's see what we're doing here. Let's get technicals, people. Let's get technical. The old Navionics. Wow, 4.7 knots. Doing 0.35 degrees true. Wow, we're due south of the inlet in between Martha's Vineyard and Nantucket, the South Channel. It's not called the South Channel. What's it called? Muscat. Muskagit. Oh man, I'm gonna get murdered for that. Muskagit Channel. That's the one we're going in. That's what, or at least that's what we're going for. If we get blown way off course, we'll come in. We'll come up in between Elizabeth Island and Martha's Vineyard. That's how you get up and into Woods Hole. Oh, look at that. Oh, remember the times aboard the Marie Tharp. That's a big wide channel too. And then you just cruise on over. So I don't know. We'll just sort of see what happens. That's nice and wide too. I do like that. One or the other makes no difference to me. Yeah. Oh, we are closing the gap. This is so awesome. So awesome. Woo. Doing our little dot. Boy, I'll tell you, Navionics sure does make it easy, doesn't it? Yeah, we are due south of the Muscat. Yeah, that's terrible. 5 knots, 5.3 people. Woo! Oh boy. Still telling me I got another day. But who knows? You know, if we can continue this course for another 12 hours, we can get another 40, 60 miles, something like that, depending on how our average speed works out. Which, though I don't want to ever get super hopeful. Or yet, no, we're not going to get. We're not getting anywhere near that. We might get another 4 hours, so 16 miles. Now we're using luck grib. 16 miles would put us right around there, which would be great. And then boom, yeah, we get hit. And it's gradual too. It seems like it'll be increasing over a couple of hours, which is always nice. It doesn't seem like this is going to be like a front line or anything like that, but we could be wrong on that. But yeah, that'll put us right out there, and then boom, pushing. And I'm kind of glad because it looks like the central area of the highest wind speed, where there's a little bend in this ridge. That's going to be coming down and closing in on our position that was about 8 hours ago. And we're definitely escaping that little area where it was going to be blowing. Definitely a bit harder. So kind of cool. That's a nice thing to have. And I suppose as long as it's sunny, even if it's not, we'll probably want to put a nice little charge on the old batteries so we're fully juiced all night. Got to keep the VHF on just in case. We're just in such close proximity to the continental shelf. There's traffic. There's a boat out there right now, and so I like to kind of. Oh geez, what do we got going on now? Well, everything's nominal. Everything's nominal. Just maybe lightening up or something. But anyway, I'm gonna go up on deck and see what the world is like for real. And not on a screen, because you can only go by what these things tell you so much, and really they're just a prediction. What you really want to focus on out there is what's going on in the real world. I mean, it told me a little bit about a shift, but I was up there on deck to do the jibe, and I just saw us peeling way off, and it was kind of like, all right, well, let's see if this works, because the swell was coming up a different direction. We were kind of pounding into it. Now we're running with it a bit more, and or now I guess it's on the beam because the shift has happened. But yeah, so I don't know. Old Kretsch, John Kretschmer, he always talked about that. He said, you can't sail on a screen. You gotta sail in the real world up there, and I definitely agree. All right, I'm gonna go check it out.